Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Chris Hawkes, and this is Your Best Life Defined. I've been working on my enunciation and the tone. I tend to get really hyped up when I do a podcast, tend to be like, it feels almost like I've got to get the information out. So if it seems like I'm slowing down or you're seeing a change, I hope that it's for the good. Let me know what you think. But, I was talking to a young man today. He was about 18 years old. He graduated this last year. And I was asking him, hey, so what's the plan? And his response was, well, I don't know. Because I wake up every day and I walk and I talk. I work on the podcast. I don't just come in here cold and try and throw a bunch of bullcrap at you. I spend time thinking about this and working on this. So I'm out walking and I see this guy and he engages me. I'm actually going to walk by, but he gets off the bench. Hey, how you doing? And he tells me, I heard about you. The kids over there underneath the gazebo yesterday were talking about talked to some guy doing a bunch of push-ups and stuff. And so we get to talking. I asked him, I said, well, what are you doing hanging out at the park? He goes, well, I was bored. And what it made me think of was his podcast. Because when I wake up in the morning, I'm the last thing I am is bored. In fact, if there's any feeling that I get, it's a feeling that I don't have enough time. I can't imagine what it was like, how it is that I managed to have a full-time job and do all the things I used to do. Because when you break it out now, I'm busy. I'm busy most days. In fact, I get done doing this podcast. I've got a full day ahead of me. And I'm looking at him and he's sitting there and he's bored. And what I came up with is the reason that he's bored is because there's opportunities out in the world that he can't see. There's opportunities in the world that he has not wrapped his head around yet and found a direction for himself. And that's really the truth. And that's the struggle that a lot of us face. Think about your life. And I'm not judging. I know sometimes people who own the conventional home and all the assets of an American dream, they tend to get a little bit skittish about me coming up here talking about your life, right? Well, the truth is it's not about that at all. The truth is this has nothing to do with your life. It has to do with where you're taking your life. And just like that young man, when I asked him, I said, well, what's your plan? He said, well, I guess I should probably get me a job. He doesn't have any defined destination to include why he needs the job or why he needs the money, right? It's because he can't see it. In order for us to achieve our best life, in order for us to wake up with our best life, and let me just step back here and explain that. What does that mean, living your best life? What it means for me is I wake up with a sense of contentment. I don't spend my time driven by wants that are external to who I am. I want to have fun, and I have a long list of things that I do every day because of that, but I don't want for anything because the things in my life are fulfilling. Well, you can get that control on your want. Now, what the things I can see, and there's things I'm still working on. This podcast is one of them. I have no idea where this is going, except for the fact that it gives me an outlet. It gives me an opportunity to review the things that I'm doing. It's a great platform. I'm sure that I've started the book. I'll have to revise it after I got this podcast going because it's kind of took a little bit of a different path than I thought. But I'm working on a book right now associated with this whole story. And having this podcast up here, who knows, maybe this is the ticket to where people can say, oh, who wrote that book? And they go to my podcast, they get an idea of what, if nothing else, my tenacity. Because, so what if this podcast sucks? I've done a lot of sucky podcasts. It's fine. I've accomplished something. I accomplish something every day. But the reason that I keep showing up every day is because I can see it. I can see the potential that me showing up every day has. Not only in my life, but in the lives of those around me. Because in spite of the delivery, in spite of the rough texture of my message, the truth is that you are never better at anything than you are at the things you love to do. And that's just the truth. People who climb mountains, people who water ski, anything that you do that you excel at or that you work on excelling at, the reason it's so easy for you to face that struggle to be great at that is because it's inspiring. It's connected to who you are. The reason that most people face their life from the standpoint of, I've got the template filled out, I've got the house, the car, the kids, all the stuff. And then they just stop and they grind it out and they're okay waiting 30 years before they get to do anything else exciting because that's when the house will be paid off. The reason that happens is because most people can't see it. They can't see That no matter where you are, there's a place to be. There's something else to learn. There's something else to do. There's something else that will add value to your life. The reason most people don't live in RVs is because most people can't see it. They can't get past the fear of being different. And I guarantee you there's some certain issues that some people just can't stand. You know, I don't know. Let's see, I'm hanging out in an RV park right now, and I know the names of the majority of people here, but I bet you I haven't had 100 words between all of them. It's a solitary life, especially now with COVID-19, right? But what's cool about it is that it gives us access to the things we want to do. We get to go do whatever we want, and that's how we fill our time. And the reason most people can't take that step is because they can't see that. You know, in talking to that young man at the park today, the reason that he's not working hard at being what he wants to be and what inspires him is because he hasn't picked it. There's nothing to look at. When he wakes up in the morning, he's looking out at his future. There's nothing to see because guess what? He hasn't defined it. And here's the trick. Even if your life is perfect, let's just say that your life is amazing. That doesn't eliminate what you have to do or what you can still do. In fact, that pushes you harder. That should be the driving force, given the fact that your life is so good, as to why you wouldn't be scanning the horizon looking for other opportunities to even make it better. And if your life sucks, I can't think of a better reason to scan your horizon to look for something that will make it better. And when you see it, it might not even be perfect. It might not even be exactly where you end up. But by picking something, you can go after something. Is it easy? No, success isn't easy, otherwise we'd all be successful. Being a millionaire isn't easy, otherwise we'd all be millionaires. And the only difference between any of us and those who've succeeded is those who succeed continue to drive forward. And they drive forward not based on the casual whims that most of us have, but rather they drive forward because they can see it. They can see where all this hard work, all that effort, all that sacrifice is taking them. And does it suck? Yeah, it sucks. Sure, it sucks. But it's worth it. Because that's where the tenacity, that's where finding the energy to push through the struggle comes in. When the goal is better than where you are right now, when the goal is so much more amazing than where you are right now, you just can't stop yourself. And where does that come from? If you want to try and figure out what you should be looking towards and picking a destination for your life, it comes from inside yourself. I don't know if you've noticed, but maybe my articulation isn't that great, and maybe I stumble over my tongue now and then, but there's no doubt I don't lack words. I don't lack ideas. I don't lack creativity. And that in part is the reason this is going to succeed. That in part is the reason that this is just one more step in launching my life in the direction I want it to go. And what is that for me? What I can see is I can see that at some point there are going to be people who listen to this podcast and say, I get it. I see what he's saying. And is this to say that you can't have the house, the car, the kids? Sure you can. But my rule is, why spend a minute more doing what you hate than you have to? And the other thing is, even if you don't hate what you're doing, if there's one thing that is better than what you're doing, then maybe that's the thing you should be going after. But it's only when you can see it. It's only when you can see the fact that you don't have to be like everyone else. And in fact, that's the pitfall, is that somehow or another we find comfort in the fact that everyone around us is just like us. It's safe. It's safe. That's what people say. They get all nervous when I tell them we don't have a home base. I don't have a sticks and brick home anywhere. This is my home. This fifth wheel, this trailer house with wheels that I pull around the country, this is my home. And they get all nervous, as if for whatever reason I'm at risk because of that. I still have all the same amenities that you do. You and your stick brick house, your safe place. But then, I don't know, maybe you're not as safe as you think. Maybe you think you're safe and you're really not. Let's look at the events, recent events. People in Nicaragua have houses. They have a safe place until a storm comes in. People in New York City had a safe place. New York City, their townhomes and their fancy apartments and their high rises, till COVID came in. See, that's the ticket. I'm not at any more risk than you are. And in fact, I'm at less risk. Because unlike you, I don't have any debt. I don't know anybody. My house has wheels. If the neighborhood goes to crap, guess what? I can hook my truck up and I can live someplace else. And when I shut the door on my home, I have everything I need. That's the coolest part about it. Probably the best part about it. And the reason I'm able to do that is because back 5 years ago, actually more than that, 8 years ago, when we were looking at what our life was going to look like when we retired, this is what I could see. I could see it. And I focused on it and I asked myself questions about it, and we talked and we struggled and we didn't want to do it, and then we couldn't wait to do it. And in the end, here we are. It's pretty damn cool. If you're not waking up energized by something, if you're not waking up and granted you have that big ass grind that you have to go through and all that stuff you have to do, maybe you need to start scanning your horizon for something better. Something that'll add value to your life. And more than that, something that'll add energy to your life, add fuel to your tank so that you can get excited. You can pick that thing that you think might make your life better and you can go after it until you accomplish it. And then once you get there, then you can embrace that feeling of success. And it comes. You got to get the little wins first. You got to get the little wins first. And then you get the bigger ones and the bigger ones. And before you know it, you become unstoppable. And I did a podcast about that. You can go check it out, but that's really how it works. There's no big secret to people who are success or immensely successful and people who aren't, except for the fact that the people who are immensely successful can see it. That's as simple as it gets. And of course, the people who are immensely successful don't do what everyone else is doing. That's the other thing. If you're hung up on that idea that you got to be like your neighbors because you don't want to do anything that's scary or has any risks involved, living has risks. But I guarantee you're going to miss out with that perspective. So keep that in mind. Wake up every day and scan your horizon. Ask yourself how you can make it better. Pick something based on who you are. Pick something that inspires you and energizes you and go after it. And I guarantee you will never regret it. So I appreciate your support. Just make sure you wake up every day with it from a platform of kindness and consideration. Wake up excited and energized. And as always, just remember, today's your day. Make it a good one.